Here's what happens when you get an Olympic gold medalist who obsesses on mental models and high performance. You get Lanny Bassham, the founder of Mental Management Systems, a high performance, essentially optimization firm based in Texas. This podcast was a special one for me. First off, it was a podcast with an Olympian from the 1976 Olympic Games. How cool is that? But this podcast was essentially Lanny breaking down concepts as to what is separating the good from great, from the relentlessly top echelon, top rungs of people, how he broke through the plateau of getting a silver medal in the 1972 Olympics to getting gold in the World Championships in 1974 to then gold in the Olympics in 1976 and then gold again in 1978. Watch this podcast. As entrepreneurs, we all experience challenges in our business journey. I'm Joe Testori, and the Grappling Growth Podcast is my attempt at documenting my entrepreneurial journey while building my brands. I sit down with fellow entrepreneurs, understanding how they grapple with growth. I hope you find value and enjoy. Lanny, pleasure. Welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you.
Lanny, I'm curious. Over your career, of your life, what does growth look like to you?
What does growth look like to me?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I first started this business, I think I was ahead of my time when we started in 1977. There was no real interest in the mental game when we first started. And so I had to, and I was working with primarily with Olympic athletes. And I found out real quickly that was, at that time in history, that's a poor business model because Olympic athletes are either subsidized or broke, but they're not paying for anything. So I started working with salespeople because they were paying to get more sales. So they were interested in some of the concepts that we had, and so I started with that for about the first 10 years or so because I was waiting for the sport world to kind of make a connection that the middle game was worth paying for. I think everybody had an idea that it was important, but they had never paid for it. So you had one thing that I could say, the easy answer is that interest in what the products that I have and that I offer has grown steadily from the time I started. And it's never plateaued. It's never gone down. It's always gone up. And to where today, if you ask any person, athlete, any Olympic athlete or any PGA Tour player or I guess anyone that is really good at what they do, you ask them this question: what percentage of your sport or activity is mental? You're going to get a big number back. The number that I get most often is my sport is 90% mental. And then you ask them a second question: well, since you've been doing it, how much time and effort have you spent on improving the mental side of what you do? If it's 90% of the game, it should be a big number, but it's a small number. It's still a small number. It hasn't reached the point where it's going. I think it's going to explode at some point, but it's always gotten stronger every year, And it's hard to find a magazine that is sent out to sports people that do not have some article in there about the mental game. So it's on everybody's mind, and that helps us.
So, just for the sake of the listeners, you're an Olympic gold medalist, 1976, silver medalist, 1972 in shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, so if we cast our minds back 50 years ago, what were the mistakes you were seeing people make, athletes, sportsmen, and women? What mistakes were they making when it came down to their mental game? Was it just a case that they were neglecting it full stop?
Well, I think everyone started to learn how to compete, and even this is even true for a lot of people today. Is I thought that to get better, all I had to do was get more skill. So I wasn't worrying about at all about what you thought about. I was worrying about, I got to learn how to shoot. So what do? You go to a technical coach, and he tells you how to aim and how to pull the trigger and how to read the wind and how to do all those things that are physical steps in your process. And then if you practice long and hard, and of course I did, you that's all you need to do. And it just as a matter of fact, back in the 70s. We thought mental toughness, that's what we called it, your ability to handle pressure in under competition was was something you had. It's like courage. You don't go to school to learn courage. You're either courageous or you're not, and so you're either mentally tough or you're not mentally tough. So it wasn't something we could learn, so we weren't trying to learn it. So we didn't have any classes on it or anything like that. And so I made the U.S. team in 1970. It was my first international competition. And the, the people were, it was still all about skill. So I was working hard, but for the next 3 years on the U.S. team, I managed to get to the top four at a time in history when the United States of America dominated Olympic rifle shooting. We held most of the world titles and world records at that time, and the I managed to make the top four. We had four-person teams back then, and but my teammates, there are three other folks that I shot with, all had world titles, and I was trying to catch up with them, and it wasn't working for me. I got to a certain plateau, and I kind of knew that something was missing, and but so I could talk to my coaches, and I says, why am I not winning? And they said, well, you just keep at it, shoot more, go to more tournaments, and you'll figure it out. Your time's coming, and but I didn't know what to do, so I managed to. I mean, I shot some really good scores in competitions. I finished in the top 10 almost all the time, but I wasn't winning tournaments, and so I decided that I'm going to find out what's going on here, and I really didn't know until I made an Olympic team in 1972, and I trained with the best shooter in the world, my teammate, was Jack Ryder was the best shooter in the world. He held the world record. He was reigning world champion. He had a silver medal in the previous Olympics. He was favored to win, and I was training with him every day for a couple of months. And there wasn't anything I could detect that he was doing physically that I wasn't doing. And my practice scores were not um, not equal to his, but some days they were. If I were to shoot against him uh, with every day for 10 days, I probably would win maybe twice, and, and he would win 8 or 9 times. And but I was close. I couldn't see anything physical that was making the difference. So we make the Olympic team. We go to Munich, Germany, which is kind of the epicenter for my sport, and there was tons of people there. It was the Olympics, and so it's the biggest sport and biggest tournament in our sport possible. And so I started the competition, and I realized that I had a bad start, and the pressure was just taking me down, and I just couldn't get control of it.
This is
And
1972.
1972, and so when I lost so many points that I didn't think I had a chance to medal, pressure was off, and it was about halfway through the match, and okay, so I started shooting like I always shoot, and I finished with one of the highest scores the last half of the tournament. Uh, but I realized right quick, I don't have a mental game. I can't control the pressure. I don't have, nobody told me what I was supposed to think about. They told me what I was supposed to do, but nobody told me what I was supposed to think about while I was doing it. And so I was the most surprised person in the world when I ended up with a silver medal with a bad score for me. And Jack, my teammate, won the gold medal and set a world record. And but I knew at that point that I had to find information about what to think about and how to think. And so I thought, well, sports psychology was kind of in its infancy at that time, and but I'd heard about it, and so I went to see a sports psychologist, and he knew about. He was more concerned with. He's asking me. He says, "Well, how do you feel about taking a silver medal? Does that bother you?" And I said, "Yeah, it bothers me." And he says, "Well, I can help you get over that." And uh, but I said, well, look. The reason I'm here is I'm number two in the world. I want to be number one in the world. Uh, can you help me with that? And he says, oh, I don't know anything about winning. And I thought, well, maybe I'm in the wrong place. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not against sports psychology or sports psychologists or anything like that. I've got friends that are sports psychologists and so forth, but they really don't major in winning. And so I thought maybe I should talk to the winners. So for the next 2 years, I was on the phone at night, leaving messages on world and Olympic champions and other sports that I could get their phone numbers for. And I would leave a message on their answering machine, something like, I'm, I'm an Olympic silver medalist, you're an Olympic gold medalist. Uh, I need your help, and please call me back. And they always did. And they called me back because I'd been to the Olympics and I'd medaled,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't know me, and we'd have a conversation about what do they know about the mental game. And so I was trying to gather information about it, and and nobody had the whole story, but everybody had a piece of it. And so after a couple of years of doing this, I connected the dots, and I thought, there's a system to this. There are helpful and harmful thoughts, and I kind of realized what the helpful ones are, and stay away from the harmful ones, and I created a system and upgraded to that system, and then the winning started, and then I won the world championships, won 3 individual world titles really quickly, and then the Olympics in '76, won the Olympics in '76, won the world championships again in '78. So between 1974 and maybe 1979, I won every major tournament that I went to. Now I didn't win all of the stages of those tournaments, but I think I was probably, if we didn't rank shooters back in those days, but if we did, I think I would have held the number one ranking for about 5 years during that period of time. So anyway, when I finished the Olympics in '76, I realized that this system. I didn't tell anybody about this system that I found, and but I thought, well, you know, this is a problem that I'm not the only one that's faced this problem, because everybody was talking about pressure and how to control pressure and all that. And so I thought, well, maybe there's a business here, and so that's what started it. So I think that it really hasn't changed. Competitors are. Here's the problem, that most people learn how to perform by going to a technical coach. That's a physical coach. They are. It's easy to determine what you're physically doing, because you can watch champions and you see what they're physically doing. You see how they perform, how they set up, how they do what they do, and it's a lot easier to teach the physical game than it is to teach the mental game. And the reason why is because you can say, see that champion, see the way they're holding the rifle, see the way they're set up like that. And you can video it, you can measure it, you can do all that stuff, and you can demonstrate it. But try this. See that champion, see what he's thinking, think like that. That's a different problem. And nobody was addressing that issue.
So
And so I
just
decided to
on
make.
what you said there, if you've worked with athletes, high performers, Olympians, salespeople, entrepreneurs, all over the space. Navy SEALs, I saw.
Mhm.
What do you think is the biggest problem people face mentally, if you could summarize it, or is it uh, an amalgamation of issues?
Well, there's several problems that would certainly, depending on what a person's issue was, but I think they all stem back to one issue. I think people are confused. Maybe it's because they don't have access to the caliber of athlete that I have access to. I mean, I teach PGA Tour players, Olympic athletes, people at the top of their game, and I have access to these people, and they are doing things that the guy in the middle of the leaderboard is not doing. As a matter of fact, the first thing I would say that kind of catches is a determining factor is people don't realize how performance is actually generated.
How is it generated?
Performance is generated. I think most people think the same way I did when I first started. That performance is skill driven. The more information you know, the harder you practice, the more years that you put into this, the more pain and sweat and you put into it. That's a determining factor by itself. And they go to technical coaches, and the technical coaches tell them how to physically do this, but they don't tell them what to think about while they do it. And they after a while, people start realizing that what you think about does matter. When you change what you're thinking about to a helpful thought, things improve. When you stay away from the harmful thoughts, it's a lot better. So what you think about performance is a function of three mental processes. And until you address this idea, you're never going to achieve what the top 5% that do 95% of the winning do. And that is performance is a function of conscious, subconscious self-image. Now, conscious is what you're thinking about. So they have defined the optimum thing for them to think about, and they try to duplicate that all the time, and they achieve mental consistency. And mental consistency promotes technical consistency, and technical consistency promotes high scores, no matter what sport you're in or activity you're in. And you want to consistently control what you're thinking about, and consistently perform at that level. And that's the first mental process. The second mental process is your skills, is your subconscious, and the conscious mind can't do it. The subconscious has to do it. So the conscious mind can think of one thing at a time. The subconscious can think of billions of things at once. So when you train and you develop muscle memory and you develop consistency of physical consistency, another word for that is skill. You develop skill, and then but a lot of people think that okay, it's a two-step model. Well, you're leaving out the very important step, and that's self-image. Self-image is what your opinion of how you're doing. It's your habits and your attitudes are your self-image. And the best way for me to describe self-image is to say that let's say you and I are competing for a title, and we have equal equipment, equal skill, equal experience, equal good thoughts. There's only one difference, is you think you can beat me, and I think you can beat me. It's pretty much over for me. That's self-image. Your image about whether or not you can compete with other people, your opinion of yourself is what separates the good from the great. And knowing how self-image is, knowing how to protect it and how to grow self-image is a major part of what we teach. So that is no performance is a function of those three elements, and if you leave one of those elements out, you're going to be beaten by somebody that may not have your skill, but using all three elements or trying to train all three. And I think that people have a self-image about their businesses, and entrepreneurs have a self-image about their businesses. Well, I've got a little business. Well, it's always going to be a little business. If that's what you're thinking about, if you act that, I remember I was reading a book one time and about I think it was the E Myth by Mark, the E Myth probably.
Michael B.
Uh,
Grabner. It's a great book.
yeah, and it's a great book, and he's talked about IBM when the guy took over IBM, and he decided we got to start thinking about this company being international big business, and every decision we make based on what on the size that we want the business to be. Well, that's self-image. That's self-image. You have a company can have a self-image. It's part of their vision. It's part of their confidence and what they can do. And so I think that that's the first step is to understand that it's not just all skill. Skill will take you to, to competence, but it won't take you to winning world championships and Olympic gold medals.
So I'm going to ask you a question that initially I thought I'd frame it as what if someone was in this position, but I'll talk directly from myself. So in my business career, it's probably the thing that I care most about is growing my business. I've never been into athletics to the extent of trying to go professional in any sport, but for me, business is kind of the mental sport that I play. And I've been in a few plateaus, and I would say I broke out of one towards the end of last year, just talking very honestly and transparently. And this is a very loaded question, but say I'm someone who is playing small, because I've done that before, where I've just played not to lose, I'm just getting by. Is there any model you would recommend to me that I could follow? I could look at your book. There's literature online, but is there anything that you think I could personally look at to get myself to that next level, or what framework could I follow?
Well, so let me see if I understand where you're starting from. You're starting from a are your practice scores equal to your goals?
No.
Like I think that there's I think that people have to realize that if your practice scores aren't if your goals are to win tournaments, and your practice scores are not equal or better than the goals than the scores of tournament winners, then something has to change. You have to you have to improve those three steps that I mentioned before to get those scores up. And
So,
the score,
sorry, just to be clear, what do you define as practice scores?
well, what do I define practice scores?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you simulate a tournament in training, and you take a score. As best you can, you simulate a tournament,
How would
and
I do that in entrepreneurship? How would I do that in day-to-day business?
you look at your receipts and you look at your expenses. You look at your at you when you decide what size company you want. what are the habits and attitudes of the companies that are in spots that you want to achieve? What are they doing that you're not doing? And that you pretty much know your business and you know your market. Um, but it's not that easy to. I would give you this, that it's easier to watch an athlete to find out what they're doing, because you can go out. You can sometimes you have access to people because they're highly televised sports, so you can see what they're doing, and and even the coaches in commentary will say that they got to improve in certain places, but a business is kind of a tough uh, process. But there are certain elements in a business. Let's just take sales for a minute. When there are proactive elements, and basically the system that I teach, a lot of the things that we teach, self-image and things like that, are applicable to anything that you do. But but what specifically made a difference in my sport was that I'm in a proactive sport. In other words, proactive means that the athlete initiates the action. A proactive element in business would be a sales presentation. Or let's say I was a public speaker for quite a number of years, giving keynote addresses at corporate events. Well, there's a, there's a, there are three phases to every task. There's an anticipation phase, an action phase, a reinforcement phase. The anticipation phase is how do you mentally prepare for that presentation or that talk, or there's an optimum way to think so that you have the mindset to be able to deliver your best performance. And then after the action phase is over, uh, how you handle the reinforcement phase is critical. Um, do you? We teach people how to learn from their mistakes and to reinforce what they do right, and that is an important response to reinforcement phase. Is that you have to analyze what you just did, and the things that you did well, you need to reinforce those, and the things that you didn't do well, you need to find a way to find a solution for those things. Now, the self-image is interesting. The self-image grows and shrinks based on what you picture. So if you picture a problem, the self-image shrinks. If you picture the solution to the problem, the self-image grows. If you picture what you did right, self-image grows. And you want to control that self-image. Well, where does that happen? It happens in the reinforcement phase. It happens how you respond to what just happened. And so if you were doing anything, whether it's a sales call or you just how do you respond to what you how your company is functioning? Uh, do you beat yourself up? Do you look at the problems and don't look at the solutions to the problems? Your self-image you can get to the point where you don't want to do this anymore. You're just your future is not totally based on your present, and so that that's why mindset is so important. is you need to protect your self-image so that you don't beat yourself up after a poor week or a poor month or and if you are a solution-based individual, you're gonna enjoy what you do more, and you're gonna be more successful in what you do. Just because your self-image is not having to deal with negative all the time, and that's that's a skill that people need to learn. And top performers know it. And sometimes I think a lot of top performers that I work with are, I'm going to call them unconscious competent. They can do it, but they can't tell you how they're doing it.
It's just an
And
innate
that's a
ability.
problem. That's a problem because if they don't know how they're doing it, if they're in the middle of an action phase and they go off center, they don't know how to get back. And so, what we do is we teach a system that basically has 3 steps to it. First of all, if I'm going to tell you that you need to do something, I'm going to tell you how to do it, and I'm going to tell you why you're doing it. And the why is just as important as the how. And so that's what you're going to use to get back some fundamentals and some principles that have worked for champions for that you know it's not necessarily like I got the only answer. If you read as many books as I've read, and you're going to see the same thing pop up all the time. It's just that it's what you focus on, and what you focus on is sometimes you just don't apply what the people are thinking or saying because it just doesn't fit your current self image, and that's an issue.
Lanny, thank you. Where can people find you and what's next for you?
Well, I would say there's 2 places. I would look for my book on Kindle and Amazon and
Just the book behind you over your right
Audible.
shoulder.
Yeah, with winning in mind. If I would go to we have 2 websites. Withwinninginmind.com is my personal website, and there's a free product there, which basically outlines what I did to move from I couldn't win to dominating my sport. There's a special report there that they can that's free that they can get there as and I would say that if you want to buy books from us, we've got other things that are available. You can go to mentalmanagement.com, and then if you want to think about individual training with us, just send me an email at info@mentalmanagement.com.
Lovely. Lanny, thank you.
Yes, sir.